Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 9 of Geeks Who Like Sports. We are the best in the world, baby. We got a jam-packed show. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Joe, my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing on this Tuesday afternoon?
Ray, it's been a great week of sports. It's going to be a sports-heavy episode tonight.
Yes.
Which is not a problem. Sometimes the geek world doesn't catch up, but it tends to happen sometime after Thanksgiving that the geekdom just doesn't end. And if the executives at some of the geek properties could get their heads together and maybe make some good decisions, we'd have some more geek things to talk about. Otherwise, this show it's not going to devolve, but we are going to go back in time and start talking like we did in the 90s. And it's going to be great for us, but as an audience, it's going to be great for you too, because we can talk about some things that everything we talk about right now is MCU, DCU. We haven't really dove into some of the classic comic book things that we could go into for hours, and I'm sure that our audience would love that. But today, I a lot of sports stories that I'm actually looking forward to talking to you about with Ray. This will be good.
Yes, we got some wrestling, we got some hockey, we got some basketball, but primarily, and we do have a little bit of geek stuff towards the end, of course, but primarily we are going to be talking about, at least to kick things off, football.
Oh, the
NFL.
foosball. Ow!
Yes, Lee, your Eagles, again, somehow, some way, find a way. They are now 10-1, by far the best team in the league. They have two games better than everybody else in the NFL.
Ray, it's true. It's true what you just said.
It is a fact. I cannot deny that. They are 10-1. The next closest team is 8-3. There are several of those 8-3 teams, but the Eagles are 10-1. Lee, this was another one of those interesting games that came out to the wire, came down to overtime. The Bills actually took the lead in overtime on a field goal, but of course, with the new rules, they get a chance to answer, and the Eagles did indeed answer to win 37-34. Lee, how do you feel after this one? Because of course, there's a lot of talks about, did the Eagles win this one as much as the Bills lost this one? Because the Bills did have a fairly substantial lead, but then, of course, another Josh Allen interception at the worst possible time rose in this game. Lee, what are your thoughts on this particular win for the Eagles at this point of the season?
Well, I'd say a couple of things, Ray. I think if it was earlier in the season, I might say that the Bills had lost that game more than the Eagles have won. But this is the Eagles every single week. They always seem to find a way to win the games. I'm going to say it again. A hallmark of great teams, especially a lot of the championship teams, which I'm not saying they are yet, is that they find a way to win. And this team constantly is finding ways to win games. And again, you can always point it to one play, miss coverage, miss pass. The fact that they find a way to win and that under pressure, they don't seem to be fazed by it, shows me they're a championship caliber team and that Buffalo is not yet. But they're on their way there. Now, with that said, when you analyze a game against a team that finds ways to win, this reminds me actually of the Patriots with Belichick and Brady. You cannot give them any breathing room. Yeah. And the Bills, unfortunately for them, consistently gave us breathing room. Like you're gonna the way the Jets beat the Eagles. Yeah, and I just want to say that the way the Jets beat the Eagles.
Yeah, they played a perfect game.
Played a perfect game. They got it by a few scores. We couldn't get back in it. Yeah. But if you keep us close, we are going to find a way to stay in it. I'm not saying we're going to win every game the rest of the season, but I'm going to say that if you give the Eagles an opportunity, this is why they're great. They will find a way to win. And here's the other thing too. Did the Eagles win or Bills lose? Jake Elliott hit a monster field goal in the rain, in the cold.
It was a 58, 59 yards.
That is called clutch. That's not the other team losing. That is our players excelling. No one's talking about that game-tying kick, which is kind of disgusting to me. I'm not just saying that as an Eagles fan. All right? Bills didn't just lose the game. You don't hit a 58-yard field goal in the rain, in the cold, in Philadelphia against a good team like the Bills because they lost the game. We won the game. Yeah. All right? We found a way to win. Sure. I think that the Bills could have also easily won the game.
Oh, there were several key plays there. Again, to your point, the Bills needed to play a near perfect game, right? Again, this is a team that was coming into this 6-5. They're now 6-6.
The Eagles right now, you have to.
They found several ways to lose this year, have the Bills. And there were several plays again, not just the Josh Allen interception, but even in overtime, they had a receiver wide open in the end zone.
Wide open.
I mean, that was one of the worst blown coverages I think I've ever seen, period. And Josh Allen well, he threw it to the right, the receiver broke to the left, and that's what mediocre teams do.
And exactly the point I was going to make, right? Well, if he hit that, if he hit it, he didn't.
Sure.
He didn't hit it. They did not execute. And that is the difference between the Eagles and the other teams right now. I'm going to say it again. The Eagles are not invincible. We know that. They still, after 12 weeks and 11 games, have not put together a full game yet.
That's true.
Right? But if they can figure out how to do that, this is what I look at now, Ray, as Eagles fans. Clearly going to make the playoffs.
Yes.
All right. I'm not saying we're going to win the division. I'm sorry. I'm not saying we're going to have the top spot in the East. East. What sport am I on? In the NFC. All right. I'm not saying any of that's guaranteed. It's very likely right now, but it's not guaranteed. All right. There's teams right on our heels. We have a very tough schedule the rest of the way, but we're going to make the playoffs. So from where I stand as a coach right now, we need to be consistent. We need to continue to fix our mistakes, but we really need to hit that momentum the last few weeks of the season so that we go into the playoffs ready to go. All right. Because the Eagles are very beatable against a team that's just firing all cylinders. All right. The problem is, like, it's not just the Eagles that haven't put a full game together. The teams who are playing the Eagles are not putting full games together. So no, I am not going to give this a Bills lose the game. They had every opportunity to win and did not execute.
Yep.
The Eagles executed. That's a great team.
And like Bill Parcells always used to say, you are what your record says you are. And that's why the Eagles are 10-1 and the Bills are 6-6.
Absolutely. Look, like someone also reported the other day, I thought it was kind of funny. Cause this is one of those things. It's like a paradox. They said the Eagles are probably the worst 10-1 team in history.
Yep.
And they probably are, but I'll tell you what, doesn't
they're
matter
10-1
because they're 10-1. So it's one of those things of, if the Eagles, there were so many clutch plays by the Birds in that game, from that field goal to Hurts running in the winning touchdown. And again, it's not so much a Bills loss as they did not capitalize. They're not ready yet to capitalize on those opportunities. I think
the Bills have regressed a lot this year compared
Tony
to the last
Romo
couple
was
of years.
saying that, and I agree with him. Like, there's some new tools there, but they're just not as deep as Philadelphia. All right, and I'm going to say it again. The Eagles have a tough schedule. I did not expect us to win these last 3 weeks in a row. All right, but we have a tough schedule. We have another 3 weeks of really tough games. The Niners are coming up. That's going to be a massive game. All right. I mean, that's got division. I'm sorry, I did it again.
That could. I mean, that could have conference implications.
I think the Eagles and them share the top spot for the Super Bowl at this point. All right. To be honest with you, if those are not the two teams in the NFC Championship game, someone screwed up. All right.
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely
safe to say, all right.
Yes.
And then we finished the as you said, we finished the season with a little bit of a layup.
We said we're talking in our pre-show.
Yeah, 2 Giant games, and I think it's a Cowboys game in there.
Yeah, you play the Cowboys one more time. You have the Niners still on the schedule, and you play the Giants twice down the stretch.
But I'm just gonna say this one more time. As a coach, I'm speaking as a coach here, not just an Eagles fan. Great teams will find a way to win, and they are finding a way to win.
Yep.
All right, and it's that period. I there's so much hatred for Philadelphia sports out there that it's like there's always excuses when the Eagles win a game. The Eagles are a fantastic, wonderful, great football team. I wish people would just see it like that. All right, that are finding ways to win games. And, if you want to beat them, you better show up.
No, absolutely, for sure. And especially like, you mentioned that it's probably going to be the Eagles and the Niners in the NFC Championship. And I think that's absolutely most likely the scenario there. But I mean, I think that's an interesting thing. We talk about the records, and you mentioned the layups with the Giants, and it goes into our next topic, which is the Falcons beat the Saints this week. The division leader now for the South is 5-6. It looks like we're going to have another probably it's sub 500 team win that division again, and host the playoff game, probably against Dallas, which means that Dallas likely has even though they'll be on the road, but basically a layup in the first round of the playoffs, much like they did last year against the Bucs. But Lee, there's a huge drop off in the NFC after the top 4 teams, right? Yeah. You have the Niners, the Eagles, the Lions, and the Cowboys right now, who are all kind of running away with everything with their respective divisions. And then you have a bunch of teams at 500 and below, and somehow even my freaking Giants, who 2 weeks ago I was talking about getting the number 1 overall draft pick possibly, the Giants have now won 2 in a row, and at 4-8 are only 2 games out of the playoffs. What's happening in the NFC right now?
The NFC just sucks this year, Ray. I don't know what else to say. It's funny. You and I have had many years where the NFC East has been bad. And it's like reversed where now the whole NFC is bad. The AFC is a much stronger division. Now, with that said, when you get to the playoffs, none of it matters, right? If you get there, you get there. I said it before, you could be hitting on all cylinders, and a lot of good things can happen. You can win one playoff game by luck. You can't win two. I would say you can't luck. You can't luck.
You can't luck. You can't luck into a run. Right. You can luck into a game.
Yeah, and that's what the Cowboys will have to look out for probably in that first round matchup. But I'll say this about the Giants, Ray. My opinion is this: the Giants are not going to make the playoffs.
No,
I think the way they've been playing lately, I think the Commanders. It's not that they let them win; it's that the Giants played to win, and the Commanders let them do that. I think you are dangerously walking away from your draft territory. Yes. And I think that the worst thing that Giants can do right now for Giants fans is give them false hope that the playoffs are in the picture. You don't want to make the playoffs. No. Even if you did make the playoffs, you don't want to make the playoffs because your team's going nowhere. Your team's going nowhere. Where are you going?
No, it's the truth. It's the truth. I mean, I know it's a lot of fun. Everybody's talking about, Tommy DeVito. He's the best quarterback we've had in 3 years, which is true. Like, I mean, he's having some phenomenal games. I mean, look, we put up 10 points against the Patriots. And I think Belichick told the kicker to shank the game-tying field goal at the end.
I wouldn't be surprised. Look, the Giants are making mistakes right now, in my opinion, by believing, Giants fans come at me. I think this is stupid. I think the Commanders are doing it absolutely right, which is we're going to put players that compete on the field and are not good enough to win. And you know what? All the Commanders fans understand it. You got a new owner coming in.
Yep.
You got a new era coming in. You're going to get a good draft position.
Yep.
That's the way to do it. The Giants are making such a Giants mistake.
Yeah.
It's like, great, you beat the Pats. I mean, you're beating mediocre teams. What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing?
and that's the sad thing is like, and the thing is that people have hope, like you said. And the thing is they're not wrong, because here's the thing. The Packers are 5-6. The Saints are 5-6.
Yeah.
The Rams are 5-6. On paper, the Giants have their bye finally next week. On paper, could Tommy DeVito win those games? Maybe, but do you want to be a 7-win team and have the 8th overall pick and then miss out on the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft?
Which is exactly what you'll probably do. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, listen, I get DeVito.
Like, at that point, you got to trade up.
Well, at that point, you got to trade up. DeVito's fighting for his life. He wants to make, he wants to.
Sure, and I understand that.
I get it. I'm with you. I don't, like I said, I want to make this clear. I am not saying that the Giants should tank and purposely lose. I don't believe in that. But make some smart decisions here. All right? Like about what you're doing. Again, you're going to be in purgatory forever. The Cowboys
that's the problem.
Do this forever. The Cowboys problem, except it's kind of it's on the other side of the standings a little bit. But it's like, I mean, how many years in a row were they 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8?
Yep.
It's like, what are you doing? Do something.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that now, especially as it does look like that the Daniel Jones contract was a mistake, it looks like
the second he signed.
Well, you and I said that. We said it was a disgusting, terrible deal.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other deals that were that dumb.
I mean, Deshaun Watson, I mean, there's a lot of bad quarterback contracts out there.
Man.
Kyler Murray with the Cardinals. Like, I mean, there's a lot of ones that is up there, though. The only good thing is that the contract is only guaranteed through next year, which means that the Giants can look, you take a quarterback this year, you let him sit for most of the year next year, let Jones continue to take lumps behind a mediocre to terrible offensive line, and then build for the year after. But like, this is a stacked quarterback class. Like, again, everybody's like, and I don't even mind if we don't get, I don't care if we don't get even the first 2 quarterbacks.
This is the year to get a quarterback if you need a quarterback.
You need a top 4 pick to get either Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix, who's my personal favorite, or Michael Penix Jr., who's actually my second favorite. I actually wouldn't mind if we got Penix or Nix. I don't want Caleb Williams. I don't want Drake May.
If the Giants are dumb enough to make the same mistake with DeVito that they just made with Jones, you deserve everything to come into you. All right.
The only good thing about DeVito is that he is locked into his contract for the next 3 years.
Listen, I'm glad for the kid.
But he's a career back. He's a backup. He is a glorified backup.
I
don't care how much he does this. I don't care how much chicken parm he eats. I don't care how much his mom makes his bed. I don't care how Italian he is. He's a backup. He's a backup.
I'll say this. I'm glad for the kid. I really, really am.
Absolutely.
Right? As someone who
the
grew up
fun
in that
story and a terrible season.
Yeah, and someone who kind of grew up in that area.
It's Vince Papali.
Yeah, it really is. Okay. And this is what I'll say right now. All right. If he goes undefeated the rest of the season, he's earned his chance. All right. Sure. And if you go undefeated the rest of the season, you'll be in the playoffs.
We will be. That's yes. If the Giants run the table somehow,
right.
Twice against I will say this: if the Eagles have nothing to play for, I could see winning the last game of the season against.
Right. Not even the last two. But this is what I want you to do, Giants fans. Ray, you specifically. All right. I want you to see that idea, that thought of the Giants running the table with Tommy DeVito and him becoming your new starting quarterback because he was amazing. I want you to take that. I want you to crumple it up, and I want you to throw it in the garbage because it's not going to happen. And this is the classic New York trap that New York always believes there's a magic surrounding New York. You haven't won shit in a decade. Welcome to the human condition of being a sports fan. You spoiled brats. Okay? You suck. You're going to suck for the rest of the year. Get a good draft pick and deal with it like the rest of us. Please, you magical bastards. I loved you in the night. Ray, I have so much respect for the Yankees. I have so much respect for those 2 Super Bowls that Eli Manning brought the Giants. I have respect for the 94 Rangers, the Knicks, whatever. But you know what I'm trying to say? I have respect for those teams. But that magic is gone. And you're going to have to do it like the rest of the league, which is drafting well, developing. You can't trade and buy your way into championships anymore. That time is done.
Yeah.
So suck and then get better. It's not a tough concept.
And if they do screw up and continue to win games and slip out of the top 4 picks, because as of right now, they're the 6th overall pick.
They're so dumb.
You have to trade up.
I actually
you have to trade up.
This, Ray. I don't enjoy lecturing Giants fans on how sports work.
You have to trade up. You have to have a top 4 pick. You have to get Caleb, Drake, Bo, or Penix. You have to get one of those 4. Again, my personal preference. You don't even need to go in the 1 or 2. I'm okay with, I would actually love Bo Nix because he's a little older. He's a little more mature. I think Penix has a really live arm. I think any of those 4 would be fine. You can't keep winning games. The future of the franchise rests on losing now.
I'm going to tell you when you messed this season up, on October 31st, when you didn't trade away everything you could have traded away.
Well, I mean, just because, I agree. I agree. I don't care what John Mara said. Barkley should have been gone. They tried to trade Adoree Jackson. He should have been gone.
That's the day
obviously they got rid of Leonard Williams, but the Giants should have blown it the F up.
You traded Barkley. There's at least 3 players on the Giants. If you trade them, you fix a majority of your problems next season.
In this current draft.
Right. Yeah. From a draft standpoint to fix this team within 2 years. But now you're looking at 2 games out of a playoff spot. Give me a break. And yes, it is easy to say this when my team is 10-1.
Yeah, but the thing is I agree with you. I'm not fighting this.
I know you do, Ray. Anyway, the NFC South sucks.
Yes, the NFC South is going to be send an 8-9 team probably to the playoffs again.
Yeah.
Speaking of how terrible the NFC South is, yes. Yeah. Frank Reich becomes the first coach in the history of the NFL to be fired in back-to-back seasons. Wow. And I will say this, the dude did not deserve it this year because David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, one of the worst owners in sports, by the way, he is now fired. He owns the Carolina Panthers and he owns an MLS franchise. Between the 2 franchises he's fired 4 coaches in the last 18 months. He wanted Bryce Young. He demanded Bryce Young. Everybody who just got fired this week from Carolina was like, we really want CJ Stroud. But of course, it's the coaches who have to take the brunt of it. It can't be the players because especially you can't just get rid of the guys you just spent all that capital to draft. And the Panthers are the worst team in football. They are the inverse of the Eagles. They are 1-10. They just lost 17-10 to a mediocre at best Tennessee team. And poor Frank Reich I say poor Frank Reich. By the way, Frank Reich is going to make $60 million now off of these 2 coaching contracts over the next several years. So he's not going to be poor. He's just unfortunate, I should say, in terms of his coaching career. But yeah, the dude was a scapegoat for a bad owner in a bad situation. Lee, what are your thoughts on David Tepper and the Panthers and this whole unfortunate scenario down there?
I'm going to read you David Tepper's quote because it's funny to me. This is his quote. I do have patience. My reputation away from this game is one of extreme patience. And then it said Tepper, a multi-billionaire hedge fund owner. There is no reason why that doesn't come here too now. Now the patience comes with good performance and wanting to see progress made in different aspects. It's funny. I almost called you Logan. It's funny, Ray. What's funny about this is in England and in Europe, coaches get sacked a lot. And what it does is it sacrifices team culture. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So the problem that I have with this is you're making it impossible for a team culture to be built. Yeah. You need to find a coach and commit to that coach for 2 or 3 years, knowing your team's going to suck. You've seen this happen in other sports. You've seen this happen in football, where a coach comes in. Like Sirianni is a great example of this. The Eagles weren't undefeated his first year. You know what I mean? So you got to build a culture, and you got to have your players buy into that culture. And I think when you keep firing coaches, you're throwing that out the window. And I would absolutely believe that a hedge fund manager would know nothing about that.
Yeah. No, and exactly. This isn't a guy who cares about culture.
No,
I think yes, I was gonna say, I think this is a guy who sees the fact that he can't get more than 50% capacity in his stadium now because the team's season is over already. Right. And I think to your point, I think if anything, this is only going to set Bryce Young back, because if anybody knows quarterbacks, who is a quarterback coach, who was an NFL quarterback,
right?
Frank Reich would have been the guy to kind of continue to try to help this guy develop.
Because
Bryce Young hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been CJ Stroud, who is a revelation, right? Like, and that's the thing, is that it's clearly obvious the Panthers took the wrong guy. When you see Anthony Richardson, who was doing phenomenal in Indianapolis till he got hurt, when you see CJ Stroud literally rewriting all the rookie record books, and then you see Bryce Young doing fine,
right?
You realize, oh, we screwed the pooch. Like, and again, unfortunately, the owner doesn't want to take ownership of this mistake because he was the one who put this forward. It's, again, I don't know. There's a plague of bad owners across football and baseball and everywhere right now. Like, I don't know. Did James Dolan write a handbook or something that's been passing around to all these guys? Because I swear these guys get dumber by the day. I have no idea how they're freaking billionaires.
We should build a gigantic ball in Las Vegas
that's losing $98 million a year or whatever.
But everyone's talking about it, Ray.
They're talking about it. All right.
They don't live on planet Earth. I don't want to speak for all owners, but I will say that, again, culture is insanely important on our team. Now, if this guy wasn't the right guy to build a culture, sure, then maybe that is a good move. But you better have the new guy, the next guy that's going to be able to build that culture. You're going to keep losing. And it's, again, we're also talking about teams that are habitually bad.
Yep.
There's never been a great Carolina Panthers dynasty or team that was consistently winning. And it's because of crap like this. You look at the teams that win consistently, there is a culture there every single time. All right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, the last point I want to bring up about the NFL is that if they're not careful, they're going to do to Bryce Young what Chicago's done to Justin Fields. Now, Chicago did end up pulling off that game somehow. And I mean, well, I'll tell you how against Minnesota last night. It's that Josh Dobbs, the pastronaut, has become the astronaut with the double S in there because he's come all the way back down to earth in the worst way possible. He threw 4 interceptions last night and was the big reason why Minnesota lost that game when they are in a playoff spot right now. They're the 7th seed. They are fighting for their playoff lives. And a Bears team, similar to the Giants, thanks for winning, Chicago, because you hurt your draft pick. Because now you're 4-8 as well, but it was good for Justin Fields, who after his second he fumbled twice yesterday. He lost both. Fields looked like he was ready to cry. Like, he looked up to the sky. It was a really clear shot on Monday Night Football, and I was watching it, and it's like, oh, this poor dude is saying to himself, please not again. because he looked broken. Now, he got the ball back one last time. He drove his team down the field 66 yards to kick the game-winning field goal. Watching enough Bears football the last couple of years, Fields is not the problem. He has the talent. He has the athleticism. Yes, he might be a little turnover prone. But this is a guy who has seen the head coaching carousel, the GM carousel, who has a singular weapon really in DJ Moore, has no offensive line, has saw his best running back go to division rival Detroit in the offseason, and they're now 8-3. Justin Fields is not the problem in Chicago. And if they take a quarterback in this draft and move on from Fields, there is a dozen teams in the NFL that will take Justin Fields.
Including
that would be
Giants.
better tomorrow with Justin Fields. From the Jets to the Raiders to the Patriots, and the list goes on and on. Those are the first off the top of my head.
The Giants.
Yeah, the Giants. I'll take Justin Fields. Give me Justin Fields. Give me Justin Fields. I will make that trade right now. Daniel Jones for Justin Fields.
Yeah,
Let's go.
No one would.
No one would. But that's my point. I feel so bad for the guy. Lee, Justin Fields is now, I think, 7-26 as a starter. He's 4-8 this year, which is actually one of his better years. But he's he's had some good games. He's had some solid numbers. If you're an athlete in this scenario?
No, I want out.
Right? Like, what are your thoughts going through? What do you think his thought process is?
I hope that they do move on from him so he can get a contract someplace else. Why would you want to be with a loser franchise? Right now, again, he might be the type of guy, hey, I'm loyal here, I want to make it, but they got to build around you.
Yeah.
Again, it's very tough when you see someone with potential that's in the wrong spot. And if you're not careful, you'll just end up as one of these quarterbacks that kind of just ends up playing on mediocre teams because people think you can't get it done.
Right.
Like, you look at a guy like a Tom Brady, man, who says just to Kraft, the best decision you've ever made. Like think about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy needs some space to grow. If they're not going to surround him with talent, they need to move on from him so that he can have a better go at playing quarterback. Yeah. Now, with that said, Ray, what did you say his record was?
He is 7-26 as a starting quarterback.
Do you know? I have to talk about this because it's kind of a crazy stat. Do you know what Jalen Hurts' overall record is?
I'm sure a lot better than 7-26.
It is, but I'm going to bring it up for you. I just want to
say, 26-7. I don't know.
No, it's going to blow your mind, and because it's going to blow your mind. Let me bring it up here because I want you to know, not because I'm trying to make fun of you. He's basically lost 4 games, is what I'm trying to say to you.
Okay, so he's basically replicating his college career here in the NFL.
Yeah, there was a great thing. Somebody asked him how many. This is when he was coming into the NFL.
Yeah.
One of the interviewers said, how many games did you use all your years in college? And he said 4. And he goes, well, the NFL is not going to be like that. And he just goes, we'll see.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Look, there's no denying Jalen Hurts' talent. He's also got a great team around him. He's got the right coach.
Team and the best center in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we talked about it last week. It'd be very interesting if the Kelsey brothers ride off into the sunset together because they're both talking about retiring after this year now. So.
Yeah, it would be really crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
both Hall of Famers in my opinion.
Yeah,
both Hall of Famers.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Kelsey go. Like I said, there's only one Kelsey, and I'm talking about Jason Kelsey. Anyway, keep going there.
But yeah, no. So you guys are in great shape. Speaking of great coaches and speaking of great teams and even dynasties, we're gonna move now into basketball. Brief basketball glimpse this year. My Knicks are doing okay. You think we're 9-7, but it is what it is. The Knicks will make the playoffs and they'll do exactly what they did last year, which is probably be out in the second round. Okay, that's their ceiling. That is what it is. Until they get another guy to help Brunson. But anyway, what we're talking about is. And no, we're going to talk about the Clippers and the Spurs. And no, we're not talking about James Harden being a cancer everywhere he goes because he is. But we're going to talk about during the Clippers game. Kawhi Leonard, of course, is now a Clipper. He's in LA. And of course, he had many great years with Gregg Popovich in San Antonio. But of course now, and understandably so, a lot of the San Antonio fans boo when Kawhi comes back to San Antonio. And Gregg Popovich, who has always just kind of
done whatever he feels like. Yeah,
exactly. He is like, this is how I coach. This is how I am. And nobody's going to argue with him because he's got 5 NBA championships.
He's one of the greatest coaches in the history of
I mean,
sports.
Honestly, in the modern era, it's Phil Jackson. And then probably like you could talk maybe Pat Riley or Gregg Popovich. He's top 3 or 4, like easily.
Yes, easily.
Like,
Big Papa.
Yes, exactly. And he, and him also, he's coming towards the end of his career. He's in his mid-70s now, and he even acknowledged it. But he got on the microphone while Kawhi was being booed at the free throw line.
During the game. People have
during the game. During the game. This isn't after the game. This is before the game. We're not talking about practice. We're talking during the game.
During the game. In the middle of the game.
Gregg Popovich got on the PA announcement system and said, please stop booing Kawhi Leonard.
That's not who we are. That's what he said.
Yes. And to nobody's surprise, the crowd booed louder.
Yeah.
Popovich.
But Philadelphia is the worst place in sports, Ray.
Popovich's explanation afterwards was that he basically just said, you don't poke the bear. And that is a fair point because he knows Kawhi better than anybody. He knows Kawhi, of course. Kawhi is a superstar. Kawhi basically single-handedly took a championship to Toronto. Like, he is, and Popovich with a young team, a young Spurs team. Again, he's been gifted amazing players. It feels like just like from Robinson to Duncan to now this kid. I can't remember say his name. Wemba. I will.
That guy. That guy.
He's a 7'3" feet.
I know who you're talking about. We all know.
Yes.
That guy.
Yes. Like
that guy on the Spurs.
Yes, the really tall guy
on the Spurs that plays basketball.
Oh gosh, I can't say his name yet. It took me a little while to get Giannis. I could say Giannis now. But
yeah, you got it. You know what's funny to me, Ray, is 5 years ago, I think I said something to you like, there's this guy on the Rangers, this Zibanejad, that you won't be able to say his name, but in 5 years we're all gonna know how to say Zibanejad.
Zibanejad, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like, there you go. It's just
it takes time. Yeah, no, exactly.
Martina Navratilova.
Hockey players and basketball players. Sometimes I'm like, that's not where consonants go.
No,
that's what?
Yes.
So I apologize. Anyway, Popovich has been gifted these amazing players, but he's got a young team. He's trying to set an example. He's trying to set a tone. And again, he didn't want to lose a game that he felt was winnable because the Clippers have been terrible since acquiring James Harden. So I think the Clippers did end up winning that game, but to his point, he didn't want to poke the bear. But Lee, what are your thoughts on Popovich popping on the PA in the middle of the game, telling the fans to stop booing?
I think there's two sides to it. I think one is he has respect for his former players. I think that was part of it. But I think the deeper part of it is that, and I don't know why fans don't understand this, that these athletes, especially a guy like Kawhi, thrive on having an enemy, on having a reason. You don't give them a reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many documentaries have to come out about Jordan or Kobe or Shaq or anybody. It's just give me a reason. I'll give you a great example where this happened recently. Bryce Harper against the Braves. Attaboy, Harper. Don't give these guys a reason.
Yeah.
They are professional competitors.
To Pop's point, don't poke the bear.
Yeah, they thrive on this. So he was trying to tell the fans, you're hurting us, and they booed louder because fans are typically clueless. I hate to say it. I'm a fan too.
I would say 90% of us are pretty dumb.
I don't want to call anybody dumb. You didn't either. I'm just saying that there's so much you don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, like Ray knows this. If I go to a game to watch, it's probably the quietest you'll ever see me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I just know it's not my place to say anything.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what's going on in the locker room. I don't know what's going on in these guys' lives. I don't even know. I can guess what system they're playing, but I don't really know. I don't know what they've been practicing. And again, as fans, you can have an opinion. Everybody should have an opinion. Don't get me wrong. Like,
for sure.
Completely entitled to your opinion. I just don't feel the need to shout that at the court or the glass or the field when I know no one cares. Right? I'd rather people ask me for my opinion, and I'm very happy that people do pay me for my opinion, Ray, in the sports realm. Hence me being the sports half of the Geeks Who Like Sports. And as I slowly go into the sunset with my high horses and my gigantic ego. Shoot the puck! Shoot it!
Yeah. To be fair, I will occasionally yell "shoot the puck," but for the most part,
yeah.
Sometimes frustration as a fan can boil over.
Now, listen, I will say this too. All right, that Philadelphia's kind of been a part of the episode tonight. After the Bills lost to the Eagles, there were some Bills fans shouting back and forth with the Eagles fans.
Yeah.
All right. So now the tables have turned a little bit. The Eagles fans are getting under the nerves of opposing teams' players. Now it works, but that only works in Philadelphia. You should not try this in any other city.
No, you really should. And to be fair, and I think most of the time I consider myself a good fan, where I usually am just cheering for my team, even when we are the visitors.
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's what you are. You sure about that?
It depends. Depends on who we're playing. It depends on who we're playing.
All right. I will say that this is what I'll say about you. You're highly opinionated, but you're also highly knowledgeable about what you're talking about.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
When you say something, I think what happens is you'll say something very specific about the Giants, and it's kind of a deep cut. And I think that the fans around you are like, yeah, what he said sounds right. That sounds like you know what you're talking about. Or my favorite one is I was watching hockey with a guy one time, and he was like, "You never skate backwards into your zone. You don't ever give up that ice." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I was like, don't get me wrong. You don't want to skate from the blue line behind your own net, but like, what are you talking about? It's called a regroup. Well, it doesn't make it football. You can't do that. This isn't football.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree. In football, you shouldn't run backwards either.
Yes.
You do that in any kind of race. What's wrong with
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is, I think to your point, which I appreciate. That's like when I went to the Yankees-Dodgers games, two of the games.
Knowledgeable. You're very knowledgeable. Okay.
Most Dodger fans were actually. I actually had a Dodger fan compliment me. He was basically like, he's like, as much as I don't want to lose this game, and first off, I appreciate how much you know about what you're talking about.
You are a knowledgeable sports person. It's not coming from nowhere. And again, I don't think you say a lot of things when you don't know. And like that's kind of like, if you don't know what you're talking about, I don't know. I know it feels good sometimes to have an opinion or feel like you know what you're talking about, but I also think that there's a power in saying, oh, I don't know what's going on. And
better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Ray Carsillo said that. It's his quote. Nobody else. No, listen,
maybe some Abraham Lincoln guy might have said that too. But
who? Listen, this is what my kind of final thought on it will be. All right, is that if you ask me my opinion of the game, I'll give it to you. I will. Like I gladly.
Yeah.
Like you want to discuss the game, I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
But I'm not just shouting it to enable myself as a hockey person. Like, 'cause I'm pretty quiet at games. I just enjoy watching. I remember I was watching Phillies recently. Actually, they're playing Ohtani. They're playing the Angels. And I just was there. I didn't say a word. I just enjoyed watching these people play baseball.
Yeah.
Right? Swing the bat. What are you swinging at? What are you swinging at? Like, yeah, that's my favorite is a guy watching on TV. It's outside the box. What are you swinging at? Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like for him at home plate.
Yeah.
He's got his little box in front of him when he's batting, and I hope it goes inside the box. Shoot the puck. Throw it.
Oh gosh.
Shoot it. Yes. You gotta make the save there. You gotta stop that. No shit. I love that, by the way, when you tell them you got to make the save. They know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for stating the obvious. Speaking of goalies and speaking also of dumb moves, hey, the NHL strikes again. Oh, man. So Marc-Andre Fleury, his wife is of Native American descent, or indigenous people, whichever you prefer. And he had a custom mask. Goalie mask made in honor of her, and of course to honor the indigenous peoples of the North American continent. And the NHL was like, "You can't do that. You can't do that. Don't do that. No. That's not approved. That's not approved by the league. We don't even want you using it in warm-ups." Lee, I feel like this falls into the rainbow tape again. It's just, why can't the NHL just shut up and get the heck out of its own way with some of this stuff?
Because you have executives that are completely tone deaf, and are making decisions and saying things like, well, we got to stick to our decision, when this is clearly an issue that you have to go case by case basis. And again, just to reiterate to everybody listening, this there was a ban on all celebratory jerseys or cause jerseys and apparel and everything in the league as a response to Pride Night jerseys going away. We discussed that in an earlier episode. You can look back and find that if you want to hear our thoughts on that. The problem is that it's such a rigid, stupid way of looking at things. Okay, so now you can't celebrate anything.
Yeah.
And you know what they don't want is someone going, oh, so the indigenous can have their night, but we can't. That's what they're worried about.
Right.
Okay. That's exactly what they're worried about. All right. But you know, you opened up a can of worms. This is a play stupid games, get stupid prizes type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember goaltenders being told they cannot express themselves on their helmet. I'm sure there's some rules, like you can't show someone getting murdered on a helmet or something like that.
Right, for sure.
But it's just a bad look. And good on Marc-Andre Fleury. He wore it anyway. He told me to go screw himself. I'll pay the fine.
Yeah.
You know, again, the perspective of the league is if we do it for one, we have to do it for everybody. So we're just going to do it for nobody. And it's the most tone deaf thing I've ever seen. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
They contradicted themselves because pride tape is allowed again. So clearly there are exceptions. This is the problem. No one would have cared. No one would have cared if you just let them wear it.
Yep.
Nobody.
They turned a molehill into a mountain.
Yeah. And it looks bad. Whether their intentions are good, it looks bad.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they will take a stop after the season and just go over this again.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this too. There is a difference between a team mandated jersey and a goalie's helmet.
Yeah.
And that's why I said you got to have a spot by spot basis for these things. You can't just do it with the whole thing. And I don't know. I will say this publicly. I do not think the NHL hates anybody. I don't think that the NHL is purposely trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I really
no. They're just stupid.
They're just being stupid. All right. And big businesses make really stupid decisions sometimes. And in a business that's made a lot of good decisions over the last few years, they're making a bad one right now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, like you said, they'll hopefully course correct again and just
they will
get their collective heads out of their butts.
The problem I have with the NHL is that there's just a lot of talk about hockey is for everyone, and we want to make the game more accessible for everyone.
And then you do something like this.
Yeah, and there's just not a lot of follow through from the league, and it's more can be done. I'll say this too. They're also looking at this as a 20-year project, not a 1-year project, and one of the problems with fans is they want everything done immediately, and it never plays. They don't have to do it immediately, whether you want them to or not. It's like the government. Nothing's going to happen quick.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a little tired of some of these. I'll just say old men decisions. That you guys are tone deaf, out of touch.
Yep. Right? Old men yelling at a cloud.
Yeah. Get off the lawn.
Yeah.
Don't wear the helmet.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I don't want to go to a hockey game. Thanks, Ray.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should go see the Rangers,
because even though see the Rangers,
they had a bit of a hiccup last night, but the Rangers, this is the best start in franchise history. They're 15-4-1.
As predicted, my friend. As predicted, I said the Rangers were going to be very good this year. I said they should win the division.
I mean, here's the thing. I thought we were going to be good too. I just didn't think we were going to be historically good. You know, you
built for this.
Jonathan Quick is 6-0-1 in relief of Shesterkin. Shesterkin's still very solid himself.
Yeah.
Peter Laviolette, one of the things that they said the reason why he was hard is he said he could really help the young kids. Alexis Lafreniere is on pace to have a 30 to 35 goal season, and he's finally starting to look like a number one pick. Zibanejad is doing what he's doing. Kreider's doing what he's doing. Panarin, not being chased down by the Russians, has 30 points in 20 games. Like he's only, I think, the 5th Ranger in history, I think, to have 30 points in the first 20 games. Like it is an unbelievable start. Some other guys are getting off the slow start. Some of the new acquisitions, the Blake Wheelers and the Nick Boninos and whatnot, but you don't need them to be scoring points when your top 2 lines are doing everything they're doing. And even with the injuries to Adam Fox and the injuries to Philip Hedl, who Fox should knock on wood to be back tomorrow night against Detroit. Or at least he'll be cleared. I don't know if he'll play tomorrow night, but he's back. He'll be back soon. The Rangers' depth has really stepped up. And despite losing 5-1 to Buffalo, which was, I think, a bit of a letdown after beating Boston 7-4, and you had a 1-0 shutout against Pittsburgh and playing 3 games in 4 days, because the Rangers have a really screwy schedule. I'm sorry. With everybody else sucking, Lee, I need the Rangers to be really, really good. I'm really, really happy that the Rangers are really, really good.
I mean, look, some of the changes that have happened here is you've got a proven cup winner in the room that knows what it's going to take to win the Stanley Cup. He's doing his job as a backup. Quick is playing so good that it's tough not to have him on your fantasy team, but he plays so little that it's tough to have him on your fantasy team. It's a really weird paradox. It's like the guy's almost going to win every night. But you've got a backup quarterback that's won 2 Stanley Cups. All right, knows what he's doing.
He's won 3. He was on Vegas last year too as the backup.
My God, you're right, man. I'm ashamed of myself.
Oh my God, I was right about hockey with Lee.
This is the last episode of Geeks Who Like Sports. No, he's won 3 Stanley Cups. Right. So I was thinking about the Kings. He's won 2 Stanley Cups as a starter.
2 as the starter. Yes,
that's where my brain went. But yes,
of course. I know.
Look, he's a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. You're absolutely right. Now you got that in your locker room, and he's a goalie. If you don't think that guy's talking to the team a little bit, you might know what it takes to win. You guys are right there. You're right to know where you need to be. I just think that enough time's gone by. A lot of the distractions have gone by. There's no, you have had so many distractions the last few years from Panarin a few years ago. And then it's like, okay, Capo Caco is not what he was brought up to be. It's like, he's a rookie, guys. All right.
Which, by the way, he also got seriously hurt last night. So we will see what happens with him going forward.
Yeah. I'm just saying the team has matured. All right. Yes. And I also think the division is shifting heavily. I think Pittsburgh and Washington are not Titans anymore. I think the Devils have had a horrible start to the season, not what they were expecting. I think Carolina is kind of old consistent, and the Flyers are on their way up. Flyers were second there for a minute. Flyers seem to be pretty competitive this year. Yes. But the Rangers are a great team with great goaltending, great defense. You have a Stanley Cup winning goaltender. I believe you have a Shesterkin won what's it called last year?
The Vezina?
I think he's won a Vezina, right?
He's won. I think believe he's won one. Yes.
So look at this roster. You have a Cup champion, 3-time Cup champion. You have a Vezina winner. You have you have a Norris Trophy winner.
Yes, and Fox will be back. Yes,
and you have some of the most prolific scorers in the league. I think you have the league's best power play scorer of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Kreider's about to get his 100th power play goal.
Yeah, you've got pieces here to win a Stanley Cup. But it all comes down to staying healthy. It's a long season.
Yes. Capo Caco, I just looked it up. The Rangers put him on long-term IR today. It does not look good.
No, that's very bad. Yeah.
It was a nasty. I saw it last night live. It was a nasty injury. I think. I immediately said AC. I immediately said ACL, and I think it might be a season ender. Honestly,
now
it's just a shame.
You do have Jacob Trouba trying to be Aaron Judge. Swinging his stick. That was a little weird and out of character.
That was even he apologized after the league fined him for that. It was
should be fined for that.
That was
a little thing, but look, I'm gonna pat myself on the back. The Rangers are for real. I said they were for real. I said their window is right now. It's going to be a very short window because I am telling you that the Devils and the Flyers are coming. All right.
The Devils have regressed a little bit since last year. Come back on the earth. The Devils are still, in my opinion, a goalie away.
They're going away, and some of their players are hurt. Like Meyer has been out for a while,
right?
And I think they were extra hot last year. But they're gonna take wins from teams, and they're probably a playoff team too, to be fair.
Yeah.
But like the division, those teams that have been at the bottom of the division outside Columbus are getting good.
Yeah,
so Columbus this is when you have to win. You have to win now.
Yeah. No, I agree. Lee. I don't want to jinx it. But
do you want to win? You want to win, Ray?
This is our year. This is our year.
Did you hear nothing that I said before?
This is our year.
Oh man,
Lee, the Rangers are very early, guys. It's the first quarter of the season, but it is at least I have something to watch over the winter.
Listen, I think a lot of fans got to take a step back. If you have a competitive team, you should be happy. I mean, you got to look at some of these cities. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, San Jose, Columbus. Yeah,
Chicago doesn't have anybody right now, right? Nobody's Chicago. Yeah, Bedard.
They got the kid Bedard. At least they can root for. Yeah. Edmonton. McDavid is now that he's healthy. Edmonton's starting to turn it around, but they got off to a real bad start.
Yeah, they're going to be chasing it all year.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes out. But yeah, it really looks like at least in the Eastern Conference. Might come down to Rangers in Boston. I know we've said that for a couple of times the past couple of years.
I think it's more. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's Rangers in Boston. I think it's Rangers and whoever steps up, because I think the Rangers are that good. I don't. I've been saying all year the Rangers are the team this year. I said that before the season started, and they're proving me right.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, they look
and
a little.
Of course, I hope they
look,
win for you. But I want the Flyers to win too.
Sure, of course. But yeah, no, I really want the Rangers to win. Yeah.
What do you want, right? You want them to win. You want your teams to win.
They
right?
looked off last night against Buffalo.
Jerk.
They looked like a half step off, and again, that's weird. Lee, I want to ask you something real quick about the schedule. The Rangers have a really weird schedule coming up. They have 2 games, 3 days off, 2 games, 3 days off, and then they kind of finally, and then I think it's 2 more games, and there's they finally start to get into that every other day cadence. As a former hockey player, what do you like that? Do you like all those back-to-backs and then extended time off, or do you want to just be day off, day on?
You want complete consistency with whatever you're doing. You want consistency, game start of you want consistent start times to the game. That's what I was trying to say. And then you want consistent on-off ice ratio. I will also say this, though. Back-to-backs are hard, but these guys are professional athletes and they can handle it. The second half of a back-to-back is tough, and they do change the tactics based on that. Sure. Sometimes it can play in your favor, though. You're warmed up, you're ready to go, especially if the other team had a night off or two. But it's 2023. These guys are exceptional athletes. And if it was back-to-back off, back-to-back off, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But no, you want consistency in the schedule. I mean, the other side of it, from a coaching standpoint, it does give you a little bit of chance to work on some things at practice. I think a lot of people forget that pro sports, you play more than you practice, right? Like you're there to win games now. It's not like youth sports where you practice more than you play. But I think any chance they can get to rest or go over film and really look at things, those are all opportunities as well. But no, as an athlete, you want consistency every single day. Great question.
That makes sense. No, thank you. No, I appreciate that, because I saw that. I was looking at the schedule. I was looking ahead after the Buffalo loss last night, and I was like, God, this is just a really weird stretch in December. I get some of it's with the holidays and all that other stuff, but it's just 2 days. It's game, 3 days off. Game, 3 days off.
I don't think anybody wants that, honestly. Yeah. You want to play every other day or every day, and then 2 days off every day, but not like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. This was an interesting weekend. Speaking of the holidays, speaking of an interesting weekend, classic, of course, is a tradition over the holidays is WWE Survivor Series. Moving into wrestling now. And I'm not going to lie, Survivor Series, which used to be one of the 4 pillars, right? We called them the 4 pillars because it used to be that there was only quarterly pay-per-views. Yeah. And it was Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and then obviously it became more profitable to do one every month, and even sometimes now twice a month, or now they're doing them overseas. WWE's already announced that I think it's WrestleMania Backlash will be in France next year. That's cool. So they're going more internationally. But Survivor Series this year, in the past couple of years, they've started to implement the old WCW, old Dusty Rhodes, gonna make you you want to talk about hard times? But talk about hard times, daddy. Okay, classic promo. Go watch it if you haven't watched it before. I'm not gonna do the whole thing here. Survivor Series War Games. The big thing that everybody's talking about out of this show is the return. Actually, 2 returns. First off, Randy Orton, after missing a year and a half because of a double spinal fusion surgery. It's great to see him back. First ballot Hall of Famer. Also, by the way, WWE also announced it was the biggest pay-per-view. I think it was the biggest pay-per-view they've ever had in Chicago. That wasn't a WrestleMania. Wow. CM Punk returned this weekend to WWE after a 10-year hiatus. Of course, this is after a year or so in AEW, a controversy-filled run in AEW.
Right from the start,
Yeah, right from the beginning, it was just filled with backstage turmoil, and so many stories are coming out now about how, and we're going to get into AEW in a second, about how AEW is poorly run by Tony Khan and how he has no control of the locker room and really no respect, and a lot of guys pushing him around. And it's also part of the problem when basically everybody who's wrestling for you also has an executive producer status or EVP status. The inmates are very
leaders.
Inmates are running the asylum, too many cooks in the kitchen. Take your pick of the analogy, but AEW looks like they're in trouble. We'll get into that in a second. Survivor Series, though, Lee, is the WWE the hottest it's ever been? How important is Punk coming back to them? And I don't know, did you see his promo last night?
No, tell us about it. Tell us about it for anybody who didn't see it.
CM Punk talked about how happy he is to be back home, how much he feels like He mentioned basically Paul Heyman said once to him that for you to really capitalize on what you can do here in WWE, you're going to have to leave and come back. And he realizes now how right he was. He talked about how important Dusty Rhodes was to him. And then he also, as they were off the air, not on mic, but the camera picked it up. He said as loud as he could to make sure that the camera picked him up, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money." Lee, what do you think? I mean, that was a little similar to what he did in AEW as well.
Yeah.
But Lee, what are your thoughts on the return of CM Punk? And is WWE, after a bit of a downturn, especially at with AEW taking a chunk out of their audience, it felt like, is WWE back on top? Is this the hottest they've ever been? And what will CM Punk do for them going forward?
I'm going to stay on my high horse for this episode and say that, as I said months and months and months ago, when companies compete, everybody wins. Yeah. CM Punk coming back is not possible without AEW being a competitor.
Yeah.
And I think that WWE knows how to capitalize on that. They have done that historically very, very well. I think Triple H understood here how to make this work. I think CM Punk as a wrestler is a real wild card. It's not just bringing back someone from the Attitude Era like they always do. He's a legitimate person that can still wrestle. It's got a following. Yes. People love him. Brilliant move. I also think it's unfortunate he's moved around like he has, and it's like the AEW thing didn't work out. I think that hurts them. This is the first kind of hit they've taken from that kind of standpoint.
Yeah.
Are they the hottest they've ever been? Is that what you asked me?
Yes.
No, but they're heating up. Right.
Yeah.
This is nowhere near the hottest they've ever been. I think that the McMahon transition has ended, and I think Triple H is now really actually fully in charge. There's a reason he's at the front of every poster. Wasn't CM Punk at the front of the poster this week? It was Triple H kind of saying, "Hey, I'm doing this." Yeah. You know what I mean? You can come back now. But as long as these two companies compete, or three companies compete, it's not really just two or three anymore, is it? No. I think it's good for the sport. And again, that's what this is breeding, the ability for someone like CM Punk to do this, right? And again, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. Great storyline. It's a great storyline. I mean, you're starting to get it again.
It's a very Paul Heyman thing to say.
It really is. All right. You love them or hate them. That's the type of people you need right now. And so many of the wrestlers in the WWE are kind of vanilla. And it's like CM Punk's not vanilla. You love him or you hate him.
Yes, and that's the thing. I'm not the biggest Punk fan right now because of everything that happened at AEW and because of all the backstage turmoil, although it is starting to come out more and more that maybe it wasn't all Punk's fault after all. As I mentioned, the inmates running the asylum, right? There's two sides to every story. But it is going to be interesting to see him. It is going to be interesting to see whether or not who's going to rival with? It seems like he's going to rival with Seth Rollins first because there's natural heat there.
Oh, they're going to throw him right into
back and forth. Like Seth Rollins, obviously right now the world heavyweight champion, right? Roman Reigns is still the WWE Universal Champion, but world heavyweight champion. And I think that Punk will probably go after him at some point, but there's a lot of interesting stories. Obviously, things are heating up with Cody Rhodes and his road to WrestleMania, him to finish the story. But I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him. And I will say it was not Punk's best promo. It wasn't exactly a pipe bomb promo, but it was a solid way to close out Raw in Nashville last night. Yeah, and I think that WWE, although it's still a little bit predictable with what's going to probably happen over the next 5 months with the Royal Rumble, like I mentioned, Cody Rhodes and all the other stuff, it's going to be these kind of more ancillary stories that are going to keep people's interest. What are things going to happen with Punk? What's going to happen with Randy Orton? The Judgment Day.
They're giving you a reason to watch, and that's the key. That's what they were not doing before.
Yes. Yeah, no, for sure. Which is speaking of giving people reasons to watch, AEW very, very interestingly decided to compete with Survivor Series directly on Saturday, not just by having their normal Saturday show Collision, but then taking their Friday night show Rampage and combining it with Collision to have 3 hours of programming directly competing with Survivor Series, and to no one's surprise, Survivor Series destroyed AEW.
Yeah.
I mean, Lee, AEW is doing, I'm going to say this, AEW is doing a lot of interesting things. It's Sting's farewell tour. Sting has announced he's retiring in March. Adam Copeland, aka Edge. Edge has come over to, Edge has come over from WWE to AEW to have one more run going against his good buddy Christian. They're going to be going up for the TNT Championship soon. They're doing a thing called the Continental Classic, which kicked off this week as well, which is a tournament, like a round robin tournament where they are combining, and this hasn't been done since the early 80s. This is like they are combining they're doing an inter-promotion championship with New Japan, Ring of Honor, and now AEW, where it is I believe it is the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship, the Ring of Honor World Championship, and now the special Continental, the AEW Continental Championship, combined into one super title that will be defended across multiple promotions.
That's cool.
It's a crazy idea. Again, it hasn't been done in 40 plus years. Really very old school NWA era kind of stuff. Is it too little, too late? Does AEW feels like it's losing a lot of the steam and momentum it's had.
This is normal. Like again, this is completely normal. All right. They came out on fire. They went to the top right away. There's only one direction to go. They weren't going to go up forever. Now you're in the fight. I wouldn't be surprised if they went against Survivor Series just to see, let's just see how we do. Like, again, everybody, they want to win. Yeah. They got to see how they can compete. All right. And if it was a bad night, you learn from it. This is a long process. They're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? They're here. And again, when the companies compete, people will win. WWE will make mistakes too. So, they went against them. Part of me thinks, okay, it's this, they're going at that and saying, let's just see how we can do against them this time. And maybe next time we don't. Now they know. Right? I'm sure they had viewers. All right. So it's one of those things. Like, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. If you want to compete with the best, you got to compete with the best. Right. There was not going to be a scenario where they dove into one of those major 4 pay-per-views, as you said, Ray, but that they won right away. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. It's not WrestleMania they went up against.
No, that's true.
Not that dumb.
They went again, technically the weakest of the 4 pillars.
That's right. And they want to see if you wanted to take over, that's exactly where you'd start.
Yeah.
All right. You got to learn. Right.
Yes.
And again, we talked about this, the Monday Night Wars. The only way you can replicate that now is through these. Can't do that on the television stuff anymore because you can record everything.
Right.
Okay. So this is where that game would happen.
Yeah.
All right. And again, they only have to do one of them right for that shift to really start happening correctly. Yeah. But no, they're not in trouble. I think that they're coming down to earth a little bit, but they're way too big now to stop.
No, yeah, no, absolutely.
So we'll see. And again, look, we talked about this last week too. They're trying things now. Some of them are disgusting. Yeah, but they're trying. They're poking. They're prodding. They're seeing what may or may not work.
Yeah,
something the WWE can't do.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this continues to go. We've been talking about this for years, and it's been fascinating to watch.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's only year 4 of AEW.
Yeah, it's new.
Yeah, and so it's like you said, they're kind of, it's a good point that they're still experimenting with some things. But again, especially with all the turmoil recently, all the stories behind the stage, backstage area, and behind the scenes, you do wonder if maybe Tony Khan needs a little help in terms of booking, in terms of writing the shows, in terms of, again, wresting control back from the inmates.
Right.
So, but
saying it again, like I said, it's a 4-year industry versus a 40-year industry. Yeah. All right. And the fact that they're even in the same sentence, I don't think people give that enough respect. The speed at which AEW rose to this power deserves a lot of respect. I like that they're doing different promotions against each other. I think that's a really cool way of doing it. I think combined they're stronger. I think this also shows, Ray, as we kind of said before, AEW is not close to the WWE in terms of size, but they are competing. All right. But this is very much Xbox versus Sony, Microsoft versus Sony here. right? In my opinion, all right. Sony's in the game, but they are not Microsoft.
Right.
Right. And that's how I kind of view WWE and AEW. And WWE, as we said this, they played it perfectly calm. We don't need to freak out about this. They're not taking it. The WWE fans aren't leaving.
No.
All you got to do is throw one of the superstars out there one time from the past, and everybody comes running back.
Yes.
It's like the ex-girlfriend, right? You come running back. It doesn't matter who it is. I could throw a Flair out there for another day. You'd come right back.
Right.
Right.
Although now Flair's in AEW. So
but I know that's what I'm saying. That you get the CM Punk. Oh my God, CM Punk. We just did this like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A year ago. We just freaked out about that. We're freaking out about it again. The promotions are predictable, in my opinion. All right. But they work.
Yeah.
All right. You got to keep throwing Austin out there. Keep throwing Austin. Put bald Shawn Michaels out there again. That always seems to work. I'm just a bald boy. Bald boy. I was your boy toy. Not anymore.
So there you go. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see. It was an interesting weekend for sure for wrestling. We mentioned Tony Khan might be able to use some help with writing. Maybe you should start using AI.
No. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah. No, he should not. By the way, he should not use AI to help write this.
I am not anti-AI. I am just anti-people who lean on AI as an actual thing to do everything. That's not how.
Yes. And as we've seen is that sometimes a couple of corporations this year have tried that and been caught and usually had to backtrack. First, it was CNET back in around March. They got called out for it and ended up having to walk back a lot of articles or delete a lot of articles because they completely replaced people. And then they called it CNET staff. And then it was found out later on that it was completely AI written. And now Sports Illustrated. I'm surprised I think it took them so long to notice because I don't think anybody reads Sports Illustrated anymore.
Well, and they were making up fake people, like AI generated people.
Yes, this was the next level. This was the next level. This wasn't even saying staff. Sports Illustrated has been accused of, particularly the parent company of Sports Illustrated, because there are Sports Illustrated writers who said we had no idea about this. The union was against this and whatnot. So, but the ownership group for Sports Illustrated basically went and created with AI fake headshots, fake writers, fake bios, names, and then had these folks attributed fake articles to these people. Now, I should say that the articles were, of course, based on things that happened in real life, right? But it is a completely 100% AI generated from literally from the face, the name, their bio, the article, everything in an attempt, looked like to cut corners and maybe cut costs.
Oh, disgusting.
And it's a slippery slope. This is what what SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild were just fighting against, this sort of thing, where jobs, freelance writing gigs and when they're being replaced because the owners were like, well, my bottom line, I care more about my bottom line than I care about people. I'm going to save me $75 by not paying a freelancer to write this 2000 World War article. Look at me. Yay. So this is where AI goes wrong. This is what people are fighting against. Lee, what with it? What is it? Just again, greedy bastards being greedy bastards? Like what is it? What's going on here?
Oh, Ray, I have so many thoughts on this one. I'll come out first by saying that we use AI in my work all the time as a tool to improve upon the work that we're doing, not as a crutch to do the work for us. Everything that AI produces, we read, we vet, and 95% of the time we change. All right. What it does is it really gives us a help to kind of get to a point that we want to take over. Right. It takes out a lot of that back work in terms of just, like just having to do all of this kind of grinding. It gives us something to start with. I have no problem with that. None. I think it's a great use of the technology. You can create a lot of content really fast. Okay. But we do not create content and just throw it up without caring about anybody. All right. And Caitlin, our producer, will tell you this. Like when I write, we even have it now trained to write in my voice. And I still will not just put it up, right? I want to read it. I want to look at it. I will make changes to it. You understand what I'm trying to say? So the technology is great. But there's one level of relying on it to write journalistic articles, which I don't know if I'm against or not. If it's clearly stated, this article was written by AI. I don't think I have a problem with that.
Sure.
what I have a problem with is when you lie directly to the reader and say, oh no, Nancy Jones wrote this. What you don't know is Nancy Jones isn't a real person. We just want you to think that she is, so you can get my views and my clicks. And what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? All right. AI cannot yet write like a human can write. I don't care how real it sounds. All right. AI should not be writing opinions like that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm kind of disgusted by them trying to dupe the reading public. All right. And I'm also disgusted that they would do this to their own journalists. And the Sports Illustrated Union is demanding answers now about why this was able to happen. All right. It's no different than the SAG-AFTRA thing. Now, look, it'll balance itself out. But in a world where it's about constantly getting content out there, I think
all those clicks.
This is the incorrect way of using it. What they should be doing is offering to their journalists, listen, we're going to have AI generate 100 articles. We'd like you to look over them, make changes. And we'll put out that this article was written with AI with oversight from this journalist, Rick O'Reilly or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd be fine with that. I just trash management. Yep. By the way, I would like to fully admit to everybody that I actually am AI. I'm not a real human being. I was actually born from a computer program in 1983. And Ray, I am sorry to tell you this, but I don't exist.
Oh, it's okay, Lee. I'm actually the first Skynet robot that is going to destroy humankind. So that's why we're best friends.
Did we just become best friends?
We just be, yes, that's, again,
yep.
Became best friends. Yep, came again.
You want to do karate in the basement?
Friends.
That sounds like something AI would write.
Yes.
I like when AI like generates like stadiums and stuff, like the artistic AI and the video AI when it makes like fake trailers and stuff.
That stuff's fun. Yeah, no,
but we know it's AI. We know it's ridiculous.
Yes, no, exactly. I think transparency is a first major part of it. I think, and I really just think it's just greedy people just looking to cut corners and just to cut bait, and it just
it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Disgusting.
It's awful, and it's again during a time where the creative front is struggling with work and people looking for jobs and things of that nature, and again just coming off of back-to-back strikes with creatives who were again did not want to, writers literally fighting to not be replaced by AI. And then Sports Illustrated comes out and does this.
I'm just going to say this again. AI is a fantastic tool. It is a tool. It is a tool, not a solution.
Correct. It is not a replacement. It is a tool to be used.
We're one historical documentary away from being back in the 1930s here.
Yeah. There you go.
The ultimate solution. It's terrifying. It's not a solution. It's a tool.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we've done that dark note, let's go to another dark note.
Yeah. No. Exactly. I know. Look, folks, we're getting
it's
closer.
Not the year 2077, Ray. Where
we're getting closer to the Terminator and all this stuff. That's right. You're right.
It's not the year 2077, right? It's 2020, whatever it is.
Correct. But the Fallout TV show that just was it wasn't announced, but we're finally getting the first images. This will debut in I believe April of 2024 on Amazon. For those who don't know, of course, obviously, first off, Hollywood is out of ideas, so they're turned to the video game realm. So every video game is being turned into a TV show. Fallout, though, again, one of my favorite series, is having a TV show made by it. It's not a replication of any game. They have said it's going to take place in the Fallout universe, but it is a different town. For those who don't know, it's like Fallout 4 took in Boston. Fallout 3 was Washington, D.C. Fallout New Vegas was obviously Las Vegas. The idea is that every Fallout, it's showing the nuclear fall, basically a war with someone from overseas, a mutually assured destruction, and people who had the means and the ways were able to go down into these vaults, basically these fallout shelters, stayed there for 50 years, and then emerged into a new world, hopefully trained to survive, not also knowing that several of these vaults were used as experiments and other things, and not every vault was created equal. This is going to be following a main character who was kind of got one of the normal vaults, but similar to what else happened in Fallout, you're going to have ghouls. You're going to have, for those who know, ghouls are basically zombies in the Fallout universe, right? People who survived the nuclear fallout, but were horribly disfigured. You're going to have giant insects. You're going to have the Brotherhood of Steel. You know, you're going to have all the mech armor and all the power armor and all that other stuff. And at least from all the stills, it looks like they're keeping very true to the TV show, or excuse me, to the video game series. And Lee, I'm just curious to see where they go with it, how the story ties into the larger Fallout universe. And I'm excited that they're doing kind of like what The Walking Dead and a lot of their ancillary properties do, where it's like, hey, the zombie universe is happening, but we're going to look at how it affected this city or these people. Yeah. And that's what Fallout has always done. And I think the TV show is doing the same exact thing. As much as I did not like the Last of Us game and therefore could not care less about the TV show, I love Fallout and therefore I'm very excited for this TV show. What are your thoughts?
The Last of Us is such a desolate story. I mean, it's depressing. It's thriller. It's not fun, right? Like it's when I think of The Last of Us as a show or a game, it's not a fun thing for me, right? It's very Resident Evil, like dark. Fallout always had that little bit of 1940s 50s sarcasm to it, which makes it so fun, right? And that's there's always someone
still a shred of hope there.
There's always someone smiling, even if it's the cartoon guy in Fallout. And that makes it have like a little bit of a side thing to it. Now I think they've said very clearly that this is in the gaming universe. It's just a new story. So I mean, basically saying this is true to the game and it's canon to the game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to introduce a lot of people to the games, to the franchise itself. Again, it's an interesting story. I mean, don't get me wrong, Fallout's had some brutal stories.
Yes.
As well, right? I mean, brutal. So I imagine that this is going to kind of go along those lines, but it's going to be more of an introduction to the Fallout universe. And then Ray, I don't think they're going to go city to city. I think they're going to stay with this character. The real question is, will the characters make it into a game? Or vice versa.
Or right? and to your point, it's also brilliant because if I'm Microsoft, who now owns Bethesda and owns Fallout games are on Game Pass.
Right. And you're going to have people playing those left and right now because of that. So I agree with you about there's no original ideas, but the gaming, I would actually make the argument now that we don't need Hollywood to have the ideas anymore. I think gaming is where the new ideas come.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So good. You know, I don't mind them taking some of that. I think that for whatever reason, from a public standpoint, tell me if you disagree with this, Ray. I just think that maybe it's our age group and up, but like there still doesn't seem to be this understanding that gaming is so much bigger. Than Hollywood. It's not even close.
Oh, dude, I have to tell, I love my writers group on Monday nights. I love my friends. But I have to tell them constantly and explain to them like, oh, you're making movies. That's cute. Like it's the video game industry is such a Goliath, right? In terms, again, the gaming industry profits every year. They could buy every sports league, the movie industry, and the music industry and still have money left over.
It's
gaming industry is beyond the amount, how valuable it is beyond comprehension.
Well, look, just to give a small sliver here, right? And we'll work together on this. You have a movie that makes $1 billion, and that's a big deal. It doesn't happen often. A movie like Barbie makes $1 billion.
Yes.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, Ray, there was a game that just came out that made $1 billion in a day. It's just it's not close. It's not.
They're already. I mean, like, especially certain franchises, like the next Grand Theft Auto
it's gonna be record breaker.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be $1 billion. It's going to make. It might make multiple billions of dollars,
which is unheard of, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's just not close. So if Hollywood's always borrowed, right? They've always in the beginning they borrowed from books. And then they borrowed from radio too, and now they're borrowing from the game. Let them do what they do. Just don't screw it up. The problem with Hollywood is they'll take something like a Fallout and say, "Oh, we'll put our creative people and put a spin on it." We don't need your creative people.
No.
All right. This is why Star Wars is surviving, because Dave Filoni didn't go, "Oh, I'll put my creative spin on it. We'll have Luke throw the lightsaber over the mountain and it'll be fun." No, there are laws to Star Wars.
Right.
And Filoni understands the laws.
Yeah. And the Star Wars, it's why the Star Wars games are so good right now too. Absolutely. Jedi Survivor, Fallen Order,
there are laws you have to follow. The MCU understood this for a long time. DC has no effing clue.
Yeah, we'll get into them in a second.
Yeah, but I'm saying that I hate when people go, oh well, it's not for you, it's for kids. No,
it's for everyone.
That's for everyone. You're wrong, you high horse bastards. All right. So if you're gonna take Fallout, there are laws.
Yes.
Follow the laws. I believe that they will.
Yes.
Right.
Again, I think it's a great thing that they're not just recreating a game like The Last of Us did. I think it's a great thing that they are playing in that universe. Fallout 76 was in Charleston, West Virginia. Like there are
very dark story.
Plenty of places in the United States that you could set a Fallout game, because again, the idea was every major city had vaults. That's the idea, right? We've only explored again like Boston, Washington D.C., Vegas, West Virginia, and again Pittsburgh. Like there's plenty of other places they can go to. So yeah, no, again, I think your point is exactly spot on. Follow the rules already established by multiple games.
Right.
It's a rich universe that you can play in. Don't mess with it though. Don't mess with its core tenets, I should say. But yeah, speaking of folks who love to mess with the core tenets of things, HBO Max, Warner Brothers, Discovery, whatever the hell you want to call them now. I really hope somebody buys them again. I really hope. Like, I just. Yeah, you know what? That's the thing. You would think that Bugs Bunny or somebody was running the studio, because these kind of decisions, folks, if you're not watching, I ruined my glasses. That's how frustrated I am. These are the kind of decisions that I'm glad I canceled my HBO Max subscription, because all they're doing is removing more and more content that people love. They have now announced that by the end of the year, all of Looney Tunes, hundreds of shorts over decades of animation, not going to be on Max anymore. We're removing it.
Where's it going?
It's going to the vault. Why? This is your history. This is half the value of these services. Like, yeah, okay, well, the Robert Pattinson Batman's being taken off. Who cares about that? This is Looney Tunes. This is a staple of American culture. This is a century of what, you don't want to put the disclaimer in front of it anymore because it says, well, this was made in 1950 and the views might be a little, might not appeal to today. I'm sorry, that's not a good enough reason to pull this stuff.
Brutal.
For some reason, it feels like a lot of these streaming services have an axe for freaking animation and cartoons. And I don't get it, because especially now, I don't have kids, but if I had kids, I would have these services so they can watch the cartoons. Am I out on a limb here?
You sound like Yosemite Sam there, bud. You all
right? Rooting and tuning, and so I'm also.
Now, boy, I said, boy.
That's Foghorn Leghorn.
No, I know. I'm doing the other version of that. I feel bad for Mel Blanc's family. I'm not gonna lie to you. No, look, I don't know what they're doing. I think I'm ready to cancel my Max subscription too. Subscription. I need a prescription to watch that subscription.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going. These streaming companies are losing their way a little bit, and I believe in them. That's the funny part. I really do believe in these streaming companies. I just wish they would believe in themselves.
They have the right idea. They just don't know how to execute it. And David Zaslav, we said it 100 times. He's probably the worst. He's the highest paid out of all these CEOs, and he's the most moronic of all of them. It makes no sense whatsoever. And on top of this, they then announced, and this is something we talk about this again. I love Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
It is an original take on classic characters. It is his own universe. And DC, instead of paying amazing writers and animators and all sorts of stuff to continue that universe, because again, they don't have faith in you, the consumer. In fact, I know this for a fact. From my time at Warner Brothers, somebody told me that one of the reasons why a lot of these animated shows got reanimated, why you had Batman Animated Series, and then you had Batman Beyond, then you had The Batman for 5 seasons, you had is that Warner Brothers doesn't believe that you would continue, that a new generation of children would jump on into the middle of the show and you would continue to follow said show. Even though to this day, now at 38 years old, I still will occasionally watch Batman the Animated Series on DVD. We're still talking about it 30 years later, but still to this day, even though we've proven them wrong, Warner Brothers doesn't believe in you, folks. They do it with every decision they make. It is a fact. Oh, and by the way, now because we don't want to do any original ideas, we're going to go back to our classic comic book stories because their comics are basically storyboards. So that's one less person we have to pay now. And we're just going to recreate it in animation, basically panel for panel. Oh, and now, because we don't want to edit anything, because we don't know what we're doing or how to tell a cohesive story, we're going to make 3 freaking movies and charge a $19.99 each freaking time just so you could watch a cartoon of a comic book that was probably better when you read it in 1985 freaking 40 years ago. I hope Warner Brothers collapses. And look, folks, I obviously have a bias. I was there for a year and a half, and I did not like what I see. I am very far upfront about that. But if you like what they're doing right now, you are insane. You are insane to continue supporting this company. They have some of the most beloved characters in history, and they are crapping right on their freaking chests. It makes me sick to freaking watch this. I hope Zaslav gets hit by a goddamn bus. He's a freaking disaster. Looney Tunes and Batman, and they're killing them all. It makes me sick.
I just had a visual of him getting hit by a cartoon bus, which made me smile a little bit. It is bad. Ray, I didn't expect to see a Ray rant on the geek side of things, so that's refreshing. But you're absolutely right. The lack of understanding here. We talked about tone deaf early in the show. We'll talk about it now. Completely tone deaf company. And you know, this is what I'll say too. Let's talk about it from a business standpoint. You can't monetize this. You can't figure out a way to monetize your properties. It's horrible. You have, as Ray said, beloved characters. You have the most monetizable people in the game. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Justice League, Looney Tunes. You go on. You're screwing up. Need new leadership over there.
100%. 100%.
I tried to give you enough time to catch your breath.
No, I appreciate it. And the thing is that like they've done this. They've done this. Crisis on Infinite Earths is the really first major reboot in comics history.
Yeah,
right.
It was well done.
And it tied all the storylines together. But they've done the Crisis stuff multiple times. They've done it on TV. They've done it in cartoons already. They've already done it animated. They've done it in live. That's what I'm saying. Like they've done it in live action television. This is taking one of your greatest stories and just squeezing every single red cent out of it because you can't come up with anything new because you've basically fired anybody who knows what they're doing.
Here's the other thing, too. There's no excuse. You got Invincible out there. You got The Boys out there. They're doing a good job. Those are adapted in a great way. There's no excuses. You're just doing a bad job, period.
That's it. If you're I'm sorry, folks, if you're supporting Warner Brothers at this point, Warner Brothers proper, you're part of the problem, probably, honestly. And I get it. Nobody's a bigger Batman fan than me.
Nobody. I will support Ray. Nobody is a bigger Batman fan than Ray. We're not just talking movies. He knows this character inside and out. As much as he'd like to be him, I'll just leave that thought out there. Ray knows more about Batman than most people. There was a point in your life, Ray, you could actually quote comic book numbers when things happened.
Yeah.
All right. Now we have old man-itis, and maybe half the time we could do that. Yeah. Or like we probably could do at any point, just throw out any random number because no one's going to check. Like if Batman, 337, when the Joker became the Iceman, and Iceman jumped into a vat of toxic oil, thus becoming Exxon Mobil. That was episode comic number 337 when Batman defeated Exxon.
Oh God.
Now hush.
It's just obviously I get angry because I care. And it just really, really
I agree.
frustrates me to see everything that's going wrong.
I'm going to say this because one of my favorite properties is doing very well right now. Star Wars has figured this out. All right. Anyone who's crapping on Star Wars right now is a moron, just a complete moron. There was a time to do it, but you have someone in charge creatively that understands the property, understands the fan base, understands the story, and everything this person creates, in my opinion, is improving upon the story. There have been critics, there's been friends that don't agree with me on this. I just think they're crazy. I think at this point, if you're hating on Star Wars, you just hate. You're hating to hate.
Yeah.
Right. So, Ray, you must watch Ahsoka. Anyway,
I
know. Star Wars to me is doing it right now, and I think it's really important that people watch what they're doing because of how they've done it. And what Filoni has done is found a way to create. And Ray, this is why I keep getting on you to watch Ahsoka or even Clone Wars. They have created new ground within the Force that makes sense, which is very daring and very hard. It's not lazy as saying somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah.
Maybe the worst line in film history ever. You can see Oscar Isaac painfully in pain when he says it. Anyway, I know you love those characters. One day it'll be made right. Sometimes you have to go through hell to get to the other side, if you know what I mean. And but you got to burn it all down. These people have to leave. Warner Brothers has got such poor leadership. And it's turned into a financial institution. It's disgusting.
Yeah, no, it's a joke. And to the folks who are like, and look, and here's the thing: if you are out there and you are,
if you're out there,
if you do like something that they're doing, if you like the cartoon, if you like Max, if you feel it's valuable, if you're reading a comic and you like what's happening, you're like, well, you just haven't read the new stuff. Well, first off, I had Max until like just less than about 9 months ago, so I did have it. And I'm like, look, I will occasionally dip my toes back in the water. But that's the thing is that for me, I look at this stuff and I'm just like, this isn't good. This isn't good. And I'm not taking it away from you. If you like it, you know what? God bless you. But if you're like me and you don't and you still buy, that's what I'm saying. If you don't like it and you're still buying, then you're part of the problem.
It's on you. Yeah, we've always said it's like ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, ex-partner scenario. You keep going back. And if you keep going back, they're going to keep pulling it out of you.
Yep.
The money.
If you're just hoping, if it's an abusive relationship, if you're hoping they're going to change while you continue to pay them money, then you are the problem. And that's what I'm saying. Again, if you legitimately support them and legitimately like what they're doing, that's a different story. Please debate us. Email us, geekswhoLikeSports@gmail.com, or Ray at geekswhoLikeSports.com, or Lee at geekswhoLikeSports.com. Email us. Let us know. Talk to us. I would love to find the one person who still loves Warner Brothers, because everything I see from them turns my stomach, including the Looney Tunes thing. And this 3-part Crisis on Infinite Earths garbage. It's squeezing blood from a stone.
For $19.99 each time.
Yeah. Sorry. Go read the comic. Go Comixology. Buy the comics. For you can buy probably the whole series of Crisis on Infinite Earths for $10.
Hey, I think we'll say it. The book's always better.
Yeah. Do yourself that favor. Anyway, moving now, we mentioned Disney a couple of times. We mentioned Marvel. Iman Vellani, this will be the final Geek story of the day.
Yeah, we got to end on a happy note.
Yes. She's great. She is a breath of fresh air. She's
wonderful. She should be the future of it. Yeah.
She is going to be the stewardess of the Marvel turnaround after a slow phase 4 and 5 start. And she said, it's on Marvel to make the fans care about their characters, to make the audience care about their characters. And
in the words of Tony Stark, how about that?
Yeah. If people care, they'll go buy movie tickets. And if people care, they will go support the products. I mean, and I think that part of the reason why, again, for me, the Marvels worked so well for me is as much as I had issues with WandaVision, it did a great job of setting up Monica Rambeau. As much as I loved Ms. Marvel as a TV show, and it already set up, obviously, Ms. Marvel for the movie, so we didn't need to waste time in the movie establishing her. Right. I think that's part of the part. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that's part of the problem with Captain Marvel, with Brie Larson's character, because I think the most interesting thing in her backstory, we get in the flashback.
Yeah.
Which is where she goes after she finally really destroys, or I should say the aftermath of her destroying the Supreme Intelligence, right? That would actually have been an interesting short of some kind to flesh out her character a bit and maybe make people care more. Because obviously after the first film, they did not care about her.
No.
So
no, look, this is good. It's true in every facet of life. If you care about something, you're going to be invested. I'm going to say it again, Marvel, I don't believe it's superhero fatigue. I think they strung us too thin. Because the thing is, we did care. We did care. That's why we kept watching as they get pushing out show after show after show, because we care.
Yeah.
But now there's too many people to care about. It's like, it makes me think of Total Recall. Man, I got 7 kids. Like, it's like, it's too much, guys. It's too much. And there's a lot of open loopholes now. Like where we don't have an answer to something. And it's like, Ray, like in commerce, when you go to a site to buy something and there's 75 choices, you get overwhelmed and you just leave the site.
Yeah.
Right. Or you may pick 1 or 2 things and leave the site.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to be invested at looking all 75 things. And like, I don't even know how many characters Marvel's up to, but it's like, it's tough to care. Now, the funny thing about Iman is that she cares about Miss Marvel.
She's actually writing the comic book right now.
Yeah. She was a huge fan of the character before she was even cast.
Yeah.
Like, that's why she's so great in that role.
I was going to say, it comes through in her performance.
Yes. I mean, that's her. Yeah. Right. So, and I do care about Miss Marvel. I like Miss Marvel a lot. Now, Monica Rambeau and Carol Danvers, indifferent. I don't dislike them in any way. But
it's true. I don't dislike Captain Marvel. I want to
massively invested. I mean, if you look at Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau, well, now Monica Rambeau's greatest value to me is where she's going with the X-Men.
Yeah.
Right. And Carol Danvers, it's like, where are we going with her? Yeah. You're the ultimate force in the universe. Somehow wasn't for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Which was also kind of weird. That's always a problem with a character that has God mode.
Yeah.
All right. So again, she's 100% right. You have to find the ability. You can't just keep cash cowing us, keep watching. Give us a reason to watch. In a future episode of this show, we will talk about Quantum Leap, a show that has come back as I predicted, and it's come back very well. And I will tell you how they keep stringing me along to keep watching, even though the show's good, because they are tapping into something that I care about very deeply, and I have cared about probably since I was a little boy before the 3rd grade. But I care, and they're not going beyond it, Ray. They keep bringing it up over and over again. That's a tease for a future episode. Yeah. Will Sam Beckett return? We'll find out on the next episode of Geeks Who Watch Quantum Leap.
Yeah, no, it's no, that's the thing, is if you make people care, they care, they will watch, right? If you build it, they will come.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think she brings up a great point, honestly. And again, it feels like if you would just listen to the people you're trying to target,
she's one of them. She's one of them.
That's what I'm saying. She's 21, 22, right? Young female. This is who you want in your audience. By the way, if you're watching the show, I just got very bright because the sun is now reflecting off my neighbor's window. Right. This is because this is a light being. This is because of my Warner Brothers rant.
Ray, the sun's not up here though, Ray. There's no sun here.
There's no sun in Philly because it's dark there.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia. That's what the TV said. You fell into that trap so horribly right there. Wow.
Yeah. Do you have a window? Are you near a window?
I do. I'm looking out it. It's nighttime.
Well, I was gonna say it's also with the time. It's also 7 o'clock. It is literally night. That's what I'm saying. It's literally nighttime. It can't be sunny in Philadelphia at this moment in time.
Yeah. Anyway,
no, she's your target audience. Listen to your target audience. And look, and honestly, you can't listen to your audience all the time because there are people who don't know what they're talking about. You will go to X, right? Formerly known as Twitter. There's a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about out there. And I get that. But and again, it's not always easy to sift through all that. But when you are seeing these massive tectonic shifts in terms of where your audience is spending or not spending their money, you might want to start listening to some of those criticisms and start deciding how to make changes. And I think Iman is somebody that would be great to listen to.
There's a reason they picked her to lead the Young Avengers here.
Yes.
I don't think that was just creative choices. I think she put herself in a position to, like, we have to trust her with this. And she's the right person.
She
decision.
is going to steward this. She is going to be the steward both on and maybe even behind the scenes.
Yeah,
because
I hope so. If she's written comics, I hope so.
So saying, like, she's doing a signing here in LA, actually signing her comic of her Ms. Marvel run, which is fantastic. Awesome. that she co-wrote, which is amazing.
It is.
Like, keep listening to her. Disney's got something on with their hands there. And also, I want to go back to Warner Brothers real quick. James Gunn. We have to wait and see. We have to wait and see what he'll do.
Well, he might be the one that saves the whole thing, to be honest with you.
To be fair, yes. Here's the thing. If his movies and TV shows can land, then suddenly this 3-part Crisis on Infinite Earths, while still nauseating, does not. It's that's the thing is with Warner Brothers, it's death by 1,000 cuts. So now every subsequent cut gets worse and worse and worse. If you start to heal some of those wounds, then yes, it's a bonehead decision, but you don't get a 15 rant with me. We're ready to blow a blood vessel in my head because of this, right? And that's the thing. It just, with Warner Brothers, it is bad decision after bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Hopefully James Gunn can fix them that. He's not the end all be all. Again, David Zaslav is the worst person in Hollywood. Like by far.
Right.
And I feel that I guess who's never going to work for Warner Brothers again? This guy. But no,
maybe you never know.
Hey, if CM Punk can go back to WWE, hell can freeze.
I'm not here to make friends.
I'm here to make money.
Yeah, you never know.
That's true. That is also true.
It's also true. Every time I hear that, that's all I can hear is Rocket. Anyway.
But yeah, we will see. And that's the thing too, is I'm still very, very, very mad at Warner Brothers.
I know you have every right to be, Ray. They took some of your childhood loves and they crapped on them. But the fact that you're keeping it alive through your passion says a lot. And I think that's what they're not noting is they're saying, oh, that guy's too much. No, that guy gets it. You guys are too much. You're canceling films. You have the U.S. government coming after you. That should tell everybody where they stand. Stop giving them money.
Yeah, if you don't, here's the thing, and that's the thing. If you don't support their decisions, again, like we said, that's the point. If you don't support the decisions, but you keep giving them money,
it's on you.
It's on you. I stopped supporting them.
If you support us, you should give us money.
Yes, you should subscribe.
Wait a minute. There's an opportunity here. You should be giving
Geeks Max. Yeah. Geeks Max.
No, we can come up with the name of that.
Yeah. No, for sure. And also, by the way, I mean, you want to know how bad this company is? They're one of their most recognizable brands in the world in terms of HBO, and they killed it from their streaming service.
They did.
Stop giving stupid people your money. Yeah, otherwise, you're the stupid person.
It should have been HBO. I don't know what they were thinking here. No, but the A looks like it's the HBO font. Great, a-holes. Thanks for that.
Okay. It's now time for your feature presentation and the end of Geeks Who Like Sports.
Yeah. We'll play that to end the episode because it was an epic thing when that came on your TV.
Yes. You knew you were about to see an awesome movie. Probably awesome movie. But yeah, no, that's again part of our childhood. And yeah, maybe I'm the old man yelling at the cloud now, but even the old man yelling at the cloud is right sometimes.
Ray, are we about to close this out?
Yes, we are.
Last Geek episodes of my 30s right here. There you go. This is it.
Oh, that's right.
I'm departing.
It's gonna be your birthday on Saturday.
I depart from you in this decade of my life, friends. As I enter a new decade of my life, the final podcast of my 30s. And this is the wisdom that I have to bestow upon all of you. Don't grow up. It's a trap.
That's great wisdom.
It's a trap.
It is a trap. It is a trap. Anyway, on that note, happy early birthday, my friend.
Thank you. I'm going to become old now.
So yeah. I'll wish you again happy birthday on the mashup, which will drop on your birthday.
Well, you're right. I will still be only this age in that episode, but I will literally be a different age on that day. Thank you for that, Brett.
Yes. So, so again, everybody leave happy birthday messages. Thank you all for listening. If you've lasted the entire episode, we greatly appreciate it.
God bless you.
Yes. Multiple rants today.
From both of us.
Yes. Yeah.
It must be that weather outside.
It was a lively episode.
Yeah,
we are the best in the world, baby. We're not here to make friends. We're here to make money.
Yeah, we're here to make money. Actually, we need friends. If you would like to be our friends, let us know. We need friends.
We also need money, though.
We also need money. You're right. We need friends and money.
And money. Friends with money?
Is that the name of our streaming service?
Friends with money.
Friends with money.
We'll workshop that, folks. We'll be back next week.
Friends with money.
Friends with Max. On that note, for Lee, I am Ray. This has been Geeks Who Like Sports, Season 2, Episode 9. Thank you all so much for watching or listening. However you are, we really appreciate it. We will see you next week with more Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.